Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing dandy. How are you?
I've never heard someone say dandy in the middle of a pandemic, so my hat's off to you for that.
Oh, why not?
Why not? Why not be dandy in a pandemic?
hmm How are you surviving? Because I know you tend to be more of an extrovert. So tell me your thoughts and feelings.
Well, um, it's a little tough. But I have weekly Zoom meetings with some friends that I see once a week, which is kind of nice and helps cleanse the palate. Um, but otherwise, this is how I talk to people is with a microphone. So it's okay. How about you? How are you surviving a pandemic?
I think it's been difficult,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, well, very complex. But like I'm always just like rich with all the feelings, so like that's nothing new. But I think a lot of good and bad is coming forth. Overall, like maybe more good than bad, like
Yeah.
generally.
Mm-hmm.
But each week has kind of been different. So I
Yeah.
haven't really like found a new normal yet. I think even this week is going to change. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that has kind of made it a little bit challenging. So we're trying,
Mm-hmm.
but it is very interesting. I definitely have seen like social relationships like play out differently now,
Mm-hmm.
which is very fascinating.
Yeah,
So it's neat.
and I like how you say complex because this is like the beginning of a very new beginning of the pandemic where now that Illinois is now easing up on this stay-at-home order, I'm seeing the social distancing starting to break, and that concerns me. I don't know how you feel, but I'm afraid that the more easing up we get on this, we're gonna be right back to where we started.
Like I truthfully, I think it's too early.
Yeah.
Like we were kind of like just starting to see some positive effects from all of the social distancing and everything, and now they're already like starting to kind of ease up on some of the different things, and it's just I'm not looking forward to a second wave.
Yeah.
Um,
And I would have
so
been fine with waiting till later, like late May, to ease things up. The first day of May, I got a little spooked when I saw that the cases spiked up, and it seems like it's been spiking up considerably over the weekend. And I'm like, oh, this is not good, and I'm afraid of what's gonna happen.
yeah, I think it's a very very unique thing. I know one of my close friends and I, we've been texting a lot, and she often, and I, frequently feel the same way, but, beats herself up for, like, not being able to get out of bed or just, like, struggling to adapt. And so, like, we constantly have this conversation of, well, we were never prepared for this. There's nothing, nothing even close that we've ever experienced something like this, and it's not something that we've ever been prepared for or ready for, and that's okay. Like, we don't owe it to anyone to be adapting flawlessly, to from day one be like on all of our shit and have it all together and just transition seamlessly. So I think reminding myself of that and like that, I don't know, that just like is helpful
Yeah.
when I start to like beat myself up about things.
Yeah, I mean, I like that we agree that like we're gonna have flaws in trying to adapt. I for one want to get my hair cut and want to see my friends. It's not that bad. I do trim it sometimes. It's a little
With some kitchen scissors.
today was kitchen scissors, but I do use my electric razor on the back of my head because it's starting to curl up a little bit, and I don't really want a mullet. I know you sound very interested. It's not pretty, I can tell you that.
You do.
Yeah, I don't know.
New quarantine, new you.
I don't like the new me in a quarantine. I'd be
What is happening? It's fine.
Yeah, right. Can I be honest? The reason why I don't want to shave my head because I have this feeling that the moment I shave my head, I'm gonna see a report of like, all right, haircuts and salons are gonna be right back open again. I'm like, I can't do that.
You're gonna jinx yourself.
I don't want to jinx
It's like
myself.
the umbrella and rain.
Oh, true.
Or like wearing rain boots to camp and then it doesn't rain.
How is Michigan looking right now in terms of the virus?
Michigan is awful, dude. It was quite funny because I remember like the switch from when everything was kind of normal to like all of a sudden like holy shit, and it just all happened really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, in terms of the state, Detroit is just like a total landmine. Mm-hmm. Like it's a hot center of everything. So like the whole east side just kind of like exploded. And slowly but surely it has kind of traveled to other parts. Like we do have cases in our county. And I think it's slowly but surely reaching like the northern part of Michigan. But because of all that's going on in Detroit, it put us at like one of the top 5 like highest cases states. Mm-hmm. So it's been very gnarly. And then, of course, I think, I could be totally wrong, but I think we were also might have been one of the first states that started to have some of the protesting. Like they had like a big one in Lansing, which is a big city in the middle, and that was just dumb. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's maybe not going as exponential right now, but it's gnarly out there on the east side.
Yeah. What do you make? So I'm curious because as we dive deeper into this whole pandemic and I see my neighbors having parties and I went on a socially distant walk a couple days ago with a friend, which was very weird. Like it was just us 6 feet apart walking for about a couple hours. Great fun, great to catch up with someone, but I had a mask on half the time, and I was making sure he was 6 feet apart from me. But what do you make? So Indiana, I think this is very interesting. They're having a 5-step program in order to open their state up by the 4th of July. Have you heard? Have you heard much about this?
I have not, no.
Yeah, they have like a 5-step program. It all depends on like, how the state's going. I think they said at least by late May, early June, they can start having crowds of, I think, over 250.
What?
Yeah, something like that.
By late May?
I think it's like late May or early June.
Oh gosh, okay.
But yeah, they want to start. I think they're starting to open things up right now, and I know on May 11th, this is where it got me. Personal health, personal care, like haircuts, nail salons, and so forth are going to be open. Which might mean I have to travel to Indiana on May 11th to go get my haircut. I'm not sure. We'll find out. But I don't know. I'm curious to see how it would work.
I feel like the 5-step concept isn't the worst thing ever. Mm-hmm. Like in planning on trying to do things gradually and then kind of see where you're at to determine if the state is ready to move on to the next step. But that is just too much too soon. Mm-hmm. I feel like. I mean, especially like imagining like 250 within the next month. Like something that my roommate and I, like we've mentioned or talked about a couple times of, it's almost like now you're kind of thinking of people as like STDs. Like you're not just interacting with that person, you're interacting with everyone that they've interacted with.
Yeah.
So imagining like 250 is just like, oh, ooh, that's it.
I don't know. I it's something I have to see to believe of how I'm gonna feel. Like, how do you feel when, say, the bars or restaurants and other social places open again? Are you tempted to go out, or you want to stay? You're not even ready yet.
I think I don't see myself like immediately going out as soon as things open, because I feel like truthfully there's going to be things that will open sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, sooner than they should.
Yeah.
And I'm 1000% not a scientist, not a health expert, but I feel like they're even disregarding like how we do handle our social distancing stuff. I could see a second wave happening just kind of in general. I don't know actually like how infections and things work, but I just would want to be extra cautious because I don't actually know where I'm going to be kind of more middle, like later on into the summer and then the fall. So if I were to, go back home with my dad and my family and everyone, like that's something that I want to be able to do safely. And I think if I like go out to like bars or restaurants like as soon as I can, that's just not safe. No. And I remember seeing I came across something too where someone said like even though things open, like we should all still like chill out and kind of stay at home, like don't immediately rush to places. So obviously it's up to people's personal preference, but for me, I have to think things through a little bit more. Like my roommate and I talked about how like because right now it's just the two of us, even though for the rest of the year it's four of us. How if either one of us were to get sick, like here in Michigan, it wouldn't be the worst thing ever. Like we would just hunker down in our house. But if I were to get sick at home, that would be terrible. It would be like a totally different story. So just trying to be like mindful of those kinds of things.
Yeah. It's a lot, and I think that second wave. What I think, hopefully, and I'm crossing my fingers. I'm also not a scientist, as my listeners would know from the 30+ episodes they've heard me talk. I think we're gonna probably be more prepared for the second wave, and I think I don't think we're gonna be in a lockdown again. I could be wrong, but I'm praying and hoping that should a second wave come, we're gonna handle it much better than the way we've been handling this, because this is something else.
Yeah, I hope that it would be smaller. I don't know how that works, but I'm very curious what you would think about this, because I've also wondered, how there is like one kind of little silver lining in all of this is that at some point there will be an end to this. Like not to like be dramatic and use this word, but like with other things that are more like actual apocalypses. I can't say that word. Dang it.
Apocalyptic.
I can't say it. It's too much. It's complicated.
It's a tongue twister. No, I can't say it.
See?
Apocalypse. Oh no. Oh. Anyway, sorry.
I'm not gonna bother. Because it bothers me. I can't do it. But like in those situations, there's this fear of like, I don't know if we'll ever get back to normal. Like everything is just falling apart.
Yeah.
But at some point, this is going to ease itself out, and like we'll kind of get a little bit similar to more of what we're used to. But I'm very curious as to what kind of psychological impact will happen. Like even more long term. Whether that's like I was driving with my roommate and we passed by this building and it was like it was super weird because it said like pool, so maybe it was like a teeny tiny like indoor pool, but she saw a sign that said open. And when we went back later, it's actually just like open for curbside, which is weird because I don't know what a pool would be giving.
Those bath toys, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. The pool snacks, some like pool noodles. Maybe?
Yeah, all the rubber duckies you want.
All the rubber duckies. They can give them all. But like my immediate thought process when I thought that it was just open was like, oh my gosh, ew, like that would be such a germy place. Like even if it's open, like I want to go there. Whereas before, I've never thought that about pools.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think what's funny because my brother applied for a pool, like a lifeguard position this summer at our local pool, and when he first told me, I'm like, wow, that's very bad timing, to be doing that. But also, I'm not a lifeguard, neither will I ever be, and I don't know the situation of pool water and how that works. I wouldn't want to be in the pool with 250 people. I mean, unless everyone's required to shower first, knowing that they are clean and they are cleansing, and then they have to shower again. I mean, that might be the best situation, but I don't know. I think
that's just wild.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors to the psychological effect when you have the protesters who want this to open back now. They're not even going to think twice when someone says, all right, go open your businesses, and go. So that's going to be fine. Whereas someone like us, where we're a little bit more willing to go out, but we're not sure if we should be going out. I know, like, the first time I'm going to go out, when I come home that night, I'm going to feel very guilty. And I'm going to get very scared. I'm, like, washing my hands, 15-minute showers, not leaving my room for, like, the next day. And I'm going to be like, oh, my God, I got someone sick or someone's going to get me sick. Like, that's how I feel every time I get home I still go to work at the local Walgreens. But every time I come home, it's a lot of washing my hands and a lot of showers because I don't trust anyone and I don't trust myself when I go to work. So this, I don't know, that psychological effect, I think there's going to be a lot of guilt, and I think there's going to be a lot of carefree attitudes.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I don't think that, like a possible psychological impact, it's not going to be just, like, a more germophobic mentality. I think there's so much that will come into play. I mean, you brought up a great example of, like, when you go to work and you're coming back home, there's just so much more guilt that you're experiencing, or just that anxious feelings, or just complicated feelings that, previously would not have had as much of that in your life. And, like, those kinds of things, like, do affect you and have an impact. But something that I feel like is a positive in the situation is, this could be just me, but I feel like we're having a more public conversation about taking care of a variety of our needs. So not just, like, our physical health, but also our emotional health, our social health, different things like that. Whereas before, I don't think that conversation was as public and as common. But I feel like now that it's just so much more visible, and people are trying to take care of their complex needs, which I think is really, really wonderful. And I would hope that that's something that we can bring to our new normal as things do start to adjust back to more of what we're familiar with. That some of these things and what we've learned about ourselves during this time and others, like we can still bring that with us.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think you've learned about yourself during this pandemic?
I think one of my biggest, like, intriguing things that I've been trying to tackle is I have a lot of productivity anxiety, which isn't anything new, but it just kind of was worsened during the pandemic because I hate being busy, but my schedule was often busy, but just enough going on in my life forces me to be more strategic with my time. Like, okay, like I don't, I have class here and here, and then I have a meeting after that, so my time to get things done is between these two classes, so that has to happen. Didn't always work perfectly. It was still challenging, but it was more useful. Whereas on days where I have such open-ended time, it's kind of like this catch-22 of like, oh, I'm relieved because I have all this time to get it done. I can be in control of my time, which is really important to me. But then on the flip side, it's just like I wake up and immediately my mind is like, okay, are you going to be a lazy piece of shit today, or are you going to actually get something done? And so then the whole day, like, I just feel anxious and guilty and depressed. So I've been forced to kind of confront that and try to tackle that, like, actually. It's something that'll probably always be around to a degree, but I feel like there's a lot of, like, internal things that I genuinely now have the space to confront, which is really healing and cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, Sarah, I can't imagine another person I want to talk to right now during a pandemic. So thank you for coming on the show and having a deep, cleansing psychological therapy session with me. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, everyone. Thanks again for listening to this episode of You Have a Minute, a daily isolated podcast. My thanks to Sarah Strahman for coming on the show and taking some time to talk to me. What can I say? She's so sweet and so lovely to talk about. And like she said, she loves talking about the feelings and the emotions, which I think is really, really interesting to hear about. And I love opening up to her about things. What a great person. Before we do go, I wanted to address some things regarding the status and future of this program. So going forward, I'm going to be doing an episode probably for sure 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that's it. The reason being, first of all, finals. I do have 2 weeks of school left, and it's time to kick into high gear, as people say. So I need to be doing that. And then after, because of the easing of the shutdown, I'm going to ease a little bit on the program. So not an episode every day, weeknights only, every other weeknight, sorry. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday will be the, for now, schedule of the show. So that is going to happen starting this week. Also, it should be worth noting that I do not have an end date yet. And I think the end date for this show will be when Illinois, the state I live in, is done with the shutdown. And we go back to a new normal or the old normal. I don't know yet. But that is what I have in store for the show. Also, tomorrow will be the last episode of our teacher week. Yes, I do apologize for not having the episode up last night. Things just got in the way. I'm excited to have the episode up tomorrow, and I can't wait for you guys to listen to what we have in store. Just remember, the consequence of loving fully is having so many friends. Wash your hands, wear a mask, isolate yourselves, call your friends, Zoom your friends, tell them you love them, and I will see you guys later.